Hi, this is Mr. Owens, and I am going to take you through a review of making your class selections into Power School for next school year. This sample and sample student would be for an underclassman, so would be for anybody entering ninth or 10th grade. The process is going to be the same virtually for any grade, but there are a variety of differences, certainly by grade level, and especially then for the upperclassmen of some of the things that they would be entering. So what I'm going to do is try to touch on some of the things that could create a problem or cause any confusion. Most of you have done this before, but not all of you, or you might not have done it yourself before, or you've just slept since then and forgot. So my goal is to make sure that you guys are able to get in your courses and submitted successfully during the time frame that we have laid out. So let me remind you of that. Again, we are asking for students to have their courses selected in PowerSchool, submitted in PowerSchool by January 16th or on January 16th. And then your counselor will be calling you down in the weeks following that to do a review of your selections, make any needed changes, and then make sure everything is set up the way you want it for next school year. A reminder that May 3rd is the deadline, hard deadline to make any changes. If you make a selection now and then you find out something for some reason that you'd like to make a course change, you can still do that up until May 3rd. After May 3rd, it would require, it would need to meet a variety of stipulations to get a change made at that point, and then approved by a counselor and or apparently or potentially an administrator. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and take you through this process real quick. And so you will just go into your PowerSchool home screen and click on class registration on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I want to point out a few things on here, reminders, before actually we'll go through and make selections for this schedule. And first of all, note the red exclamation points, and those are subject areas that are required. You cannot submit any schedule without making selections in those subject areas if they have a red exclamation point. Also, some of the main subject areas, again, are going to have a notation about what it is and what graduation requirement it meets, for example. And then as you scroll down, you'll see the elective areas or optional course areas. Now, those might be needed for your diploma that you're going for, but they aren't necessarily an actual requirement for your grade level. So just to keep that in mind. And then I also want to note at the bottom here, the alternates box has a red exclamation point. And so again, that is required for every grade level for you to put a couple alternate or second choice courses in there. Again, those those aren't selections, those are courses that you might consider taking if one of your main choices doesn't meet, or for example, you might pick a second choice of science, or potentially English, or an elective area that you've picked, but that would be maybe your second choice. And you can have more than two in there, but it would be a minimum of two. If you put some more in there, it just means that you are more assured that something that you were thinking about taking will end up in your schedule without having to have maybe a meeting over the summer to get that fixed. The reason to have alternates is sometimes your schedule, the classes that you pick, maybe end up meeting the same period, and so you can't take both of them. Or occasionally classes will be closed as well if there's not enough people in there, and then we would go to your alternate. While I'm at the bottom, I also want to note you should keep track of the selections that you're making, and I'll show you that as we go, and that way you kind of know when you're ready to submit. The submit button is in the bottom right, and you could try to submit at any point. It won't let you submit if you don't have enough or if you've made any mistakes, but once you do submit, it will give you a list of courses. And but then you can always come back to the screen and make changes, so you're not doing anything horribly permanent once you click submit. You're just trying to submit your selections. Okay, so those are the main areas I wanted to mention. do make note of prerequisites also as you go through here. And again, those that means that you needed to take a previous level course for you to take the next level, and it'll note that, and it might even not show as an option for you if you haven't met the prerequisite. If you run into any issues like that where you think there's an error in prerequisites, or if you maybe have transferred in and you've completed, for example, on this one, world history is required for the 10th grade level, but if you've already taken it, obviously it won't let you submit because that's a red exclamation point. Go ahead and make the selection, and then when you meet with your counselor, we can fix that. We're not going to make you take the course twice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start to make some selections in here, and again, review the process. So you're going to click on the little pencil. Typically you're going to click a fall and spring. Most of the courses are full year, and if it is a full year course, you definitely have to click the F and the S. Note that these aren't always in the order of F or S, and sometimes you'll also have to go to other screens down here, so you'll see that as we go. So we're going to go ahead and pick our English selection, which is English 10 for both fall and spring. Click both boxes, and then you always have to click OK. Even if you go back in and make changes and unclick a box, you have to click OK, or it won't register your choice in that particular subject. And you can see we've got two boxes up there, and we got a green check mark. And then if we scroll to the bottom, you can see that we've requested 2 credit hours. Okay, so that's simple. We're going to go to social studies, and we are going to pick our choice for world history, and we're going to click OK. We are going to go to math and make our selection for math. And here's one again, we have another page. Okay, so now in math, you're going to see some of these off sequence courses. Again, that, you may not even see that as an option. That's if students are retaking something. So we will not be doing that, but we are going to go ahead and select our geometry fall and our geometry spring for this particular sample. Okay, and then we're going to go into science, which is also required for this grade level. And we are going to make that selection and go down and click OK. And now going to the bottom, we've got eight of our 14 selected. And now we are going to pick our remaining courses, and these are again optional, again based on our grade level. So we are going to make a selection there in world language. We are going to go into pick an elective here. And again, note some of these that I can't pick if the prerequisites are not met. So we are going to select here and here. Also note again that this is a single semester course, then you may not pick the fall and spring. You'll just need to make sure you pick a matching class there. We're going to scroll to the bottom. I've already got 12 of my 14 picked, okay? And so I only actually have 2 more to pick. I'm going to go ahead and I was going to pick study hall, which is acceptable as a selection or an alternate. And now note that even though I've picked study hall, I've got 14 things picked, but because that's not a credit class, it still only shows I've picked 12 credit hours. But that is acceptable for you to make your schedule submission. Okay, so I should have a full schedule here, and you can always go through and count up the boxes to kind of double check that. What I still need to do is select my alternates. Okay, and so I'm going to find a couple extra courses, and there's a lot of pages here. And again, depending on your grade level, what you might pick in here to find. So I'm going to find a couple things to pick as my alternates. And again, those should be something that might be extra courses that you might take. For now, I'm just getting something in there. But it could be your second choice of science or English or any of your electives that you chose. Okay, so I should be ready to submit. I've got a minimum of 12 credit hours, but I've got 14 things selected plus my 2 alternates. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And I do notice that the prereqs are not met for one of my selections, okay? So you're going to find out where that is, and I can see that's one of my art classes. So I'm going to go in and uncheck that. Okay, we're going to find something else to pick for an alternate, and we're going to select those. Okay, and now we're going to try to resubmit. And if you get an error, that's exactly how you fix it. You go in and see what you put that you did wrong, uncheck it, and then find a replacement. And then we're going to submit again. And now this took our submission. Okay, so we've got, you can see your full schedule there, and you can see your 2 alternates. And again, you can have more than 2 alternates. It's recommended, potentially that you maybe have 3 or 4 possibly in there, but a minimum of 2. If we want to go back to make any changes, we can click back on class registration, and that'll take you right back to where we were. You can uncheck something, recheck something, and then resubmit, and it will take you right back to this spot. So once you've done that, you actually have your schedule entered in PowerSchool, and then when you meet with your counselor, we'll go ahead and go through that and double check it, and then we can make any changes that we need to at that point. But that's very easy, simple process. What I do want to tell you is it's so much easier to do this if you're going off your plan. That's why we had you guys do that before Christmas. So, and that includes finding course names and numbers. By the way, when you're looking, I do want to show you one other thing here. When you are looking, if it will go, yep. Especially in the alternate box, I want to know that you can sort by course or number. So if that helps you find something, that's something I forgot to mention. But what I was saying is once you've made the plan, then this process is really simple. What you shouldn't do is try to do this and just wing it without using the plan that you've already kind of written out or laid out, hopefully referencing the course selection guide that we gave you. It's an easy process at that point. Okay, so that's it. Again, make sure, first of all, don't stress about this. Remember, you're meeting with your counselor, and we will make sure that it has everything that you need to move forward with your diploma plan for next year. Thanks a lot.